Okay, so this one is gonna be interesting. So let's start out with a little context here. I have always felt like I was part of a very, very exclusive club in that I am a theater person. And when I say I'm a theater person, I don't just mean I'm someone who, does theater. I mean, I am a theater person. I have studied theater. I have participated in theater extensively throughout my entire adult life. All right. I love theater enough that I decided I am willing to sacrifice making money to do it for a profession. Okay. So when I say I'm a theater person, I mean that in every possible sense of the word. So I'm a theater person who actually likes the musical Cats. Cats is one of those shows that, even amongst the Andrew Lloyd Webber canon, really brings a lot of hate. I have known people who have just hated this show with a passion. People who think it is the worst thing to ever happen to theater. It's garbage, it's junk, it's fluff. I have just heard all of it. And I actually really like it. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I don't think it's anything really, mind-blowing. It's not Fiddler on the Roof or something to that extent. But I think it's a fun musical, and I think it's a show that does not have a plot, but invites you to kind of attach your own meaning to it. That old argument of the neoclassics. Do you just create art that is meant to say something, or do you create everything and let the people find inspiration where they want? Well, this is a musical where I think there is something deeper going on. I think there is a broader message that works for me. I don't believe it's what's intended, but it's what I have always found. That's important. I want to give context because that's going to come into play here as we talk about this film. But yeah, I am the rare theater person, in other words, who actually likes the musical Cats. I've always called Cats the 50 Shades of Grey recently I've called it the 50 Shades of Grey of Broadway, in that it's the show that everyone goes, ooh, oh, that's terrible, oh, I hate it, oh, it's the most awful thing, and yet it's made billions and billions of dollars. Clearly somebody is going to this, but everybody hates it. But I love Cats, I really do, and I don't feel shame in that. This is also an interesting one because I feel like, not unlike, let's see, what was the last big one? I think the Emoji Movie was the last one. The Emoji Movie, Batman v Superman is another one. The critics have just taken the knife to this. I have not read a single review of this movie. I've read the headlines, and people have they have gone at this film as if Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Hooper personally assaulted their mothers. I mean, they have just ripped, if you'll pardon the expression, like they have ripped into it like a dog on a three-legged cat. And when you feel that much raw hate for something, you've got to look at it and go, what is really driving the problem here? And you also got to say, okay, this is something I have to see for myself to understand what is going on. And having now seen it, I've got to say, it's not that bad. I mean, it's bad. Don't get me wrong. There is a lot wrong here, and we're going to talk about it. This one's going to take a little bit. But does it deserve kind of this savaging that it's been getting? And I don't feel it does. I think it's a bad movie, but I think it is bad simply in it is it a case of I'd say a talented director. I still stand by Tim Hooper. I think he's a talented director making choices that are not good. An untalented person doesn't turn out a movie this bad. Because a movie this bad only comes when someone with a clear vision goes for that vision and yet doesn't stick the landings. You know what I mean? This isn't Ed Wood, someone who's incompetent. This is someone very skilled in their craft, and yet, the choices that are made are all falling just short of being good. So let's give this movie some doubt, and let's give it some discussion as opposed to just ripping into it. There's some shit we're going to rip into, but let's delve into this. So we're just going to start and just going to go through like we always do on this. So let's start with some of the biggest elephants in the room. Let's start with one of the big ones, the CGI. This has been a problem since the first trailer hit, and folks, excuse me, this is some of the worst fucking CGI I have ever seen in my life. It is, I am not joking, and this is one place where I feel like people are not just ripping into it for no reason. There is adequate evidence for the ripping in this instance. The CGI is scary looking. Man, the people look bad. And if you think that the cat characters look bad, they do some things with, CGI people as mice and cockroaches for the Jenny Anydots song. And oh my God, it's horrifying. And it's so, I don't know, it's mind-boggling. I was having a discussion with a wonderful friend of mine who is a costume designer, and she was talking about one of the issues she has with the show cats is the costume design, because they're all in leotards, and she thinks it presents an unhealthy body image. I understand that criticism, and I said to her that I'd love to see how she would redesign some of the costumes. But here's the thing about the costumes, is that you can tell the person is not naked. Even in the leotards and the shirts or whatever they're wearing, I've never once gone and seen Cats or watched the video of it and gone, oh my God, that person is naked. And you feel that way with a lot of these characters. With the ones who are wearing jackets like Old Deuteronomy or Gus the Theater Cat or Mr. Mistopheles, it's not as bad because they have something over the nakedness. But a lot of them take it up, and you really do feel like you're watching somebody butt naked parade around, and it's creepy looking. Also, there is just something wrong going on here in the face area for all of them, where it's too human. It's not enough in one world or the other, There's also weird things like their bodies are feline, but their feet are human. And it just looks weird. Again, these are clear director choices and design choices that I understand why they're doing it, but it looks bad. It looks really bad. And the CGI being bad does not stop at the characters. The settings and the compositions and whatnot, the backgrounds, are all out of whack and out of proportion and out of scale. It is very hard to get a sense of scale for the cats. How big are they supposed to be? In some of the places where they're working with practical sets, they're a little smaller than the furniture. When they're doing the Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser number, they're in a house trashing it, and they're small because they're supposed to be cat size. Okay, so everything's a little bit oversized. They're in the theater where they're having the Jellicle Ball, and they feel like everything is to normal scale, maybe a little bit bigger. They're outside, and everything is humongous, and the cats feel like they're this big. So the scale is all over the place. let's talk about that too. They've reworked a lot of the songs in this. New orchestrations. The biggest one that sticks out to me is the Mungo Jerry and Rumpel teaser number, where the song is not in that. I don't know. It doesn't sound like the same jolly, Merry Mischief Maker kind of thing that the Broadway version does. It's reworked, and it doesn't work as well. Another thing they do in this is that this show, for those who don't know, this show is all I am numbers, just about. Almost every song in it is an I am, is a character introducing themselves. And in a lot of instances, in the Broadway show, it's one character singing about another. For instance, the Jenny Anydots number, the Bustopher Jones, Gus the Theater Cat. They don't sing the whole song. Someone else sings a chunk of it or all of it, and they interject at places. Now, why is this important? Why does this bug me? Well, remember a minute ago when we were talking about me liking the show, I said I found meaning in it for myself. What I believe the show is about is I believe it is about how youth views age. You look at the songs and the way they're arranged, and almost all of the other I Am songs are sung by the character themselves. Rum Tum Tigger, Mungo Jerry, Rumpel Teaser. Songs like Bustopher Jones, Jenny Anydots, Old Deuteronomy, Gus the Theater Cat, and the introduction of Grizabella. These are all sung by other characters about them, saying how they view them. And Jenny Anydots is the kind of the goofy aunt. Bustopher Jones is that pompous uncle you kind of have. Old Deuteronomy is the revered parental figure. Gus is an old performer that, your parents loved and who was begging for you to understand why they were so great. Grizabella is somebody who's made rough choices and bad choices, and youth is judging her. You see where I'm going? But what they do in a lot of these numbers is instead of someone singing about them, they've altered it so now they are singing about themselves. So Jenny Anydots is singing most of her song herself. Bustopher Jones is singing all of his song himself. So it is more like they are making fun of themselves. And it doesn't work. The same thing, Gus the Theater Cat is okay, but again, it's supposed to be a duet. But he is singing all of the introduction part. Most of the song of the Gus the Theater Cat they have here, and that's my favorite song in the show, by the way, is the introduction of him and not the part of the song where he's singing about himself and talking about his life in the theater and who he was and how great he was at one time. So these alterations take away, which is funny to me because they've added so much in to try to make this thing make sense, to give it a plot. But by altering those songs, I feel like they've taken away from what I perceive as the plot. Now, I understand, I don't believe that plot was intended. I think it's what I get out of it. But for me, that makes it not as good. Let's talk about that there for a second. Yeah, they have done their best to add some bridging lines, because, again, Cats is almost entirely sung. It's more of an opera, a modern-day opera. That's what Andrew Lloyd Webber does, than it is a strict musical, So, because they're taking it from one medium to another, now they feel like they have to explain it a little bit more, have a little bit more of a story. And I understand that. I get that. You're taking it from one medium to another. You're not doing a direct, great performances on PBS kind of thing. So you feel like you need to enhance the story a little bit. Okay, fine. I get that. And in some ways, they're really smart about this. So one of the ways they do this, and something I liked about the movie, is they take a character from the show who is a minor character, a supporting character, that of Victoria. If you ever watched the show, Victoria is the white cat. So she's not a new character per se. She's a established character who doesn't really have a song. She's more of a dance part. But they take this character of Victoria and make her kind of the audience stand-in character. Again, these are all I Am songs, but since there's no audience to sing the songs to, they bring in the character of Victoria and make her kind of an outside member of the tribe who is new to everything and everything has to be explained to. And I think that works really well. I actually thought that was a really clever device, and I liked that enough that I don't think I'd ever direct Cats, honestly. But if I ever did, I actually think that is something, a move that's so smart. I think that would actually work in a staging of the show, is taking that character and pushing her to the forefront as kind of an audience POV character. And it works a lot in it. It works in the Jellicle Ball number, the big dance number. It works in that she's the one who kind of makes a connection with Grizabella. So I think that really, really worked. But the problem is, the problem with this movie is that every time they did something that I thought, wow, that really worked, they made an opposite decision that almost canceled it out. I talked a minute ago about the Gus the Theater Cat. Casting Ian McKellen as Gus the Theater Cat. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Cutting the song and having him sing the parts of the song they give him, not so good. So, having Victoria be the audience POV character, great, and an excellent performance, I felt, by Francesca Hayward, who is a ballet dancer, principal ballet dancer, I think, with the Royal Academy, I think is what it said when I looked her up. But she's an excellent ballet dancer, and it shows. She's very graceful. She's not as strong a singer, I think, but she carries it off well. So that part of adding a story works. Other parts, an extended bit with Macavity being like a dark Mr. Mistopheles who like is kidnapping the other members of the Jellicle Ball who are auditioning for a new life. That really didn't work. It really didn't work. There are a couple other places where it doesn't quite work, and I can't think of them right now. Let's talk about this other elephant in the room. Let's talk about the cast. Since we talked about Francesca Hayward, let's talk about the rest of the cast. It's a 50-50 split. Jennifer Hudson, boy howdy, here's again 50-50. Jennifer Hudson kills Memory in the best way. Like, she kills it, baby. She is emoting. Boy, howdy, is she selling the pain of Grizabella and the pain of her life. Here's a place where they tried to add backstory and it sucks. So Grizabella is supposed to be, again, a former, let's say, showgirl or a former glamour person who looks back on their life and just sees all the mistakes. And that's all anybody else sees in her. Someone who was famous or great, but who all anybody notices now is the mistake. Well, they add a line of dialogue here that she was this great thing, but then she went off with Macavity, and now we hate her. It's like, you didn't need that. First of all, what did she go off with Macavity to do? Was she his girlfriend? Was she part of his gang? What does that add to the story? Again, they try to add backstory, but it weakens it. So anyway, back to Jennifer Hudson. So Jennifer Hudson is amazing singing those songs because she's Jennifer Hudson. Of course she's going to be amazing. She's Jennifer Hudson. She doesn't have a choice but to be amazing. But here's the problem. Jennifer Hudson, as talented as she is, as remarkable as she is, and as great as she hits those songs, she's too young for this role. And you feel that. She does not feel like an old person looking back on the mistakes of their life. She's too young. And again, you have all this CGI. You could age her up a little bit. They don't. You know? Not to say that a person in their 30s or 40s can't have things in their past they regret, not saying that, but the character is supposed to be an older one. The rest of the cast is a grab bag of okay to, again, Ian McKellen as Gus the Theater Cat, brilliant. Judi Dench as Old Deuteronomy is okay, but I don't know if I know Judi Dench did musical theater in her youth. I don't think she doesn't have the voice for Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy's songs are all supposed to be these deep, bass songs, these rumbling songs, and a higher, older voice doesn't work for it. Let's do good news, bad news. Good news. I've got to give Taylor Swift a lot of credit. I really liked her. She sings, I can never pronounce the cat who she plays, but she plays one of McCavity's crew and sings his song, and she does a pretty good job of it. She also wrote a bridging song for this. It's gotten some press that people have trashed it. It's not a bad song. And where it falls in the show is where the intermission would normally go. So they're trying to bridge Act 1 to Act 2 without an intermission. So it's a song Victoria sings to Grisabella of, I never had a home. You're looking back on your bad memories, but at least you have memories. At least you have something good. I don't have anything good. It's not a bad song. I don't hate it. Say what you will about Taylor Swift, she is a talented songwriter. The problem is, again, it doesn't fit the show. The sound, and I think Andrew Lloyd Webber actually did the orchestration for it. But it sounds and feels more like a song from La La Land. Like it actually sounds more like the Here's to the Ones Who Dream from La La Land than it feels like it fits Cats. So again, it's not a bad number. People have given her a lot of crap for it. It's not bad. It's just it doesn't fit. So Taylor Swift does a pretty good job. I gotta tip my hat to her. I think she had one of the strongest songs. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say something, and I don't usually like going in this direction, but I'm going to. I make no judgments of them as a human being. They may be the most lovely, most wonderful human being. The statement I'm about to make, I make based on-screen persona and on-screen presence. I want to make that clear. I don't want to sound like I'm making a personal attack on this person. This is an attack. This is me stating how I feel about their on-screen persona. I fucking hate Rebel Wilson. Fucking hate her. She is poison. Okay? God, did you know? Let me blow your mind. Did you know she's fat? And that it's funny when, apparently it's funny when fat people do gross things like spread their legs and lick themselves like a cat, or when a fat person slams into things and falls over. Did you know that? Well, they want you to know that. It's fucking funny because she's fat. And the only thing I could ever say about Rebel Wilson and her on-screen persona is that at least she was a good singer. She's not here. She's good for pop music. She's not good for a Broadway song like this. She is terrible. I mentioned a little bit ago the whole thing about McCavity, kidnapping the other members of the Jellicle Ball who want to be reborn so that he can be the only one left. I said it was stupid and I hated it. Only thing I didn't hate about it is it got Rebel Wilson out of there. Because she was it's just like, God, make her stop. The rest of the cast, again, is some level of, okay, that's a thing, to, oh, you're in this, to, I don't get it. Let's also talk about this. I gotta say this about this movie, and this is something I am mad about. This is something I am very mad about. The choreography in this sucks. This is some of the most boring uninspired choreography I have ever seen. And Cats is known for a few things. And one of them is the amazing dancing. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you hate this show. If you can't watch it and go, wow, that is some amazing dancing, there's something wrong with you. Go Google it. Google the Jellicle Ball number. And just watch the amazing choreography, the dancing, the precision, the timing. It's phenomenal. It's one of the things I love about the show. It is so dull here. So dull. And you have talented dancers. You have a principal ballet dancer from an established company, and you give them practically nothing to work with. The lone exception in this is in the Skimble Shanks the Railroad Cat number. They give him a tap dance, which they don't do in the Broadway show, but it's actually pretty good. I really like it. And I can't remember the actor's name, but man, he is awesome. He's a great dancer. So they add a tap dance number to him, and it works. It's the only time in this entire movie where the choreography is any good. And I remember that one of their selling points when they were doing the trailer was, and the choreographer of Hamilton. Look, folks, I get that right now Hamilton is the greatest thing that ever happened. All right, I get it. I get it. It's a big thing. People love it. I'm not particularly a fan, but, you know, I get it. But here's the thing. The choreographer of Hamilton perhaps was not the best choice for this. Maybe they could have gotten someone else, like the choreographer for, you know, I don't know, maybe the choreographer for fucking Cats! Cats is still on Broadway! Get the fucking get any of the choreographers from it! You get the choreographer from Hamilton? Hamilton, and I am taking nothing away from Hamilton and its importance, but it is not a dance show to the extent that Cats is a dance show. All right? So, you get the choreographer from that as opposed to fucking Cats? The hell? All right, this one has gone on a while, and I'm trying to be fair with it, because it's not... when I look at this film, when I go to this film, there are just so many bad choices. So many wrong, backwards, or choices that you understand, but that the execution doesn't get to. It doesn't work for. And it's maddening. But, that being said, I must admit, watching it, I can't say I hated it. I can't say it was any worse than some of the other movies. I've seen way worse movies this year. But it just... it falls so short of being even remotely good. But it's not a terrible movie. And I don't believe it deserves the venom it's been getting. I think it's one of those films that people treat much like people treat the Broadway show. It's an easy target. And again, not saying there's anything wrong, not saying that this is a misunderstood masterpiece or something. It is not. It's bad, but I can't say I wasn't entertained by certain parts, but I can't say there weren't parts of it like Jennifer Hudson's Singing of Memory, like Francesca Hayward, like Sir Ian McKellen. There were parts of it that worked and were really smart and really good choices. But so much of it is just then undone by equally bad choices on the other side. All right, so let's wrap this up, because again, this one's gone longer than most of my rants this year, but there's a lot to talk about and a lot to unpack. So final grade for this one, I'm actually going to be a lot more generous than a lot of other critics who've said this is the worst thing. I'm going to C- on this one. I think there is good stuff here. And as I said at the very beginning, this is not a hack job. Hacks don't make movies like this. For a movie to fail this badly, the people involved have got to have talent and a vision. Unfortunately, it just doesn't pay off here. So, if you're one of those people like me who had morbid curiosity, I don't think you'll be disappointed. You can go and see it and kind of go, oh, wow, what the hell was that? If you're a fan of the show like me, I think you'll find some things in it, but I honestly think it's going to drop you down. All right. So that's Cats. So before we wrap up here, there's something I got to talk about. So this is definitely going to be the last Drive Home review of the year. We'll be back in the new year, new movies, everything. But I have to say that this is kind of an ending of an era video, because with this review, we are saying goodbye to a founding member of the Drive Home Reviews family. And that is my ship, my vessel, my Saturn. That has been the drive in Drive Home Reviews. 15 years I've had this car, and it's been through it, man. I tell myself, and I tell people, I tell my kids that I teach, I tell them I'm not a sentimental person, but I am. I'm very sentimental. And I wanted to give the Blackadder one last trip, one last review. Had this car in Alaska. It saw me through moving to Tennessee. It saw me through grad school. It saw me through my highest of highs and some of my lowest of lows while I was here. I was here for my unemployment years, here for heartbreak, here for health problems, here for everything. It's so many places this car took me, and it pissed me off a lot. This car broke down a lot. This car had a lot of problems, but sometimes feeling like it was held together with spit and a prayer. But in the end, it always got me home, and this is the vehicle that when I was unemployed for a long time and feeling isolated, and said, you know what, I'm gonna start reviewing movies in my car. This is why I don't have the stuffies here, my crew. When we started, it was just me, the car, and the camera, and I wanted to kind of bring things full circle. So I know it's dumb to do a farewell video to a car, but feel right, just kind of shift into the new one and not giving the Blackadder a proper send-off and one last review. And as I'm pulling into my parking space, the Blackadder has brought me home one last time. So in the new year, it's going to bring new changes. It's going to bring a new member to the Drive Home Reviews family. You'll meet him on the next video, but this is it. So to everybody out there, thank you for watching, and may the new year bring you all the happiness and all the love and all the companionship that you hope for. And to all of you, and to the Blackadder, drive safe, and I'll see you at the movies.